Hello, I'm attorney Gary Finklea and practice at the Finklea Law Firm in Florence, South Carolina. Today I'd like to speak with you a little bit about medical malpractice claims. In our office we get a great deal of calls concerning these types of matters. Being in Florence, the hub of the PD with several medical facilities and medical providers, this is not unexpected. Despite the number of phone calls, however, we accept very few of these types of calls and claims. And the reasons why, of course, is very difficult to prove and to establish. And I want to run through some of the considerations that we evaluate when determining whether or not to accept a medical malpractice claim. First of all, what is medical malpractice? Medical malpractice is where a medical provider deviates from the accepted standard of care. Whether or not this medical provider does something or fails to do something which should have been done. Now, first of all, that in and of itself is very difficult and costly sometimes to establish. Now, it's very easy, in fact common sense, to know that a medical provider should set a bone once it's broken. However, not all the cases are that simple. In fact, all the cases are more complicated than that. So we have to rely upon a medical expert to establish whether or not a provider deviated from the standard of care. So that's the first thing we've got to prove, that there was in fact malpractice. When we go to the courtroom, the judge charges the jury that medicine is an art, not a science. That makes the standard of care even more difficult sometimes. A bad result is in and of itself not medical malpractice, unless the medical provider deviated from an acceptable standard of care. There is no medical malpractice. Now, even if we determine that the medical provider deviated from that standard of care, the inquiry does not end there. We have to next look at the person's damages. And so many times, even though a provider may have deviated from the standard of care, another provider picked up on the problem or treatment was rendered in a timely manner, therefore avoiding potential danger, injury, and in fact sometimes death. So those are generally the two questions that we ask ourselves. One, did the physician deviate from the standard of care? And I say physician, but it's any medical provider, nurse, radiologist, lab tech, hospitalist, emergency room doctor, any healthcare professional. Did that person deviate from the standard of care? How difficult will it be to establish that standard of care, and how much will it cost us to obtain an expert? Second, what were the person's damages or injuries? Whenever we consider a medical malpractice case, we have to have out-of-pocket expenses in the tens of thousands of dollars, because the cost of pursuing a medical malpractice case easily exceed $10,000 upwards to $20,000 on the average case. So for that reason, these cases are closely scrutinized. Rarely are they taken unless there is a really good chance of prevailing. Of course, don't rely upon this video to determine whether or not you have a medical malpractice case. Call a lawyer. Let us evaluate that for you. And of course, we'll be glad to do that at the Finklea Law Firm. You can reach us at 843-317-4900 or email me at gfinkley@finkleylaw.com, or you can find us on the web at finkleylaw.com. Thank you very much.